It's 1949. Somewhere in the foggy backstreets of London, a man in a black overcoat walks into a smoky bar and orders a drink. He doesn't say much. He doesn't have to. Within 20 minutes, he's convinced a complete stranger to lend him their coat, their watch, and their life story. No gun, no threat, not even a charming smile. Just a few words, a hypnotic tone, and a deep understanding of how the human mind bends like a spoon in hot soup. That man? Darren Brown's grandfather. A street hypnotist before hypnotists were cool or legal. What he used wasn't magic, it was psychology. And the most disturbing part? It still works. Now picture this. You're at a job interview. You're polite, prepared, and professional. You shake hands like a boss and even laugh at the interviewer's weirdly dry joke about cats in Excel spreadsheets. But somehow, you don't get the job. Why? Maybe it wasn't your resume. Maybe someone knew a trick you didn't. What if I told you that the mind is more programmable than your mom's old microwave? And that the people hacking it aren't magicians? They're marketers, managers, and occasionally, your charming neighbor named Steve. Psychology isn't just for therapists or your friend who took one class and now diagnoses everyone at brunch. It's the science of how we think, feel, and behave. And over the past 100 years, researchers have uncovered a toolbox of psychological tricks that work more reliably than Wi-Fi at your ex's apartment. Today, we're unpacking 10 of those tricks. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll start seeing them everywhere. 1. The foot in the door technique. Let's kick things off with something sneaky. Back in the 1960s, Stanford researchers found that if you ask someone for a small favor first, they're way more likely to say yes to a bigger one later. This is called the foot in the door technique. And no, it doesn't involve actual feet or actual doors. For example, get someone to sign a petition about safe driving. Easy, right? Then later, ask if they'll put a giant ugly sign in their front yard that says, "Drive safe." Surprisingly, most people agree. Why? Because humans love to be consistent. Once we say yes to something, we don't want to look like flip-floppers. We're not politicians, after all. Salespeople love this one. Ever accepted a free cookie sample at the mall, only to walk out with a $40 jar of gluten-free, non-GMO, unicorn-infused cookie dough? You've been foot in the door, my friend. 2. The door in the face technique. This one sounds violent, but relax. No doors or noses were harmed in the making of this technique. It's the opposite of the last trick. Here, you start with an absurdly big request. Something like, "Hey, can you donate a kidney and 3 goats to my charity?" When they say no, you hit them with a much smaller request. "Okay, how about $5? Suddenly, $5 feels like a steal. Researchers found that people are more likely to say yes to a second, smaller request because they feel guilty about rejecting the first one. It's like the psychological version of haggling, but everyone walks away feeling weirdly good about it. 3. Mirroring. Ever been on a date where the other person copied your body language, your posture, even your nervous laugh? No, they weren't glitching. They were probably mirroring you. And no, it's not creepy unless you catch them doing it while holding eye contact for too long. Mirroring is a technique where someone subtly copies your behavior to build rapport. It makes people feel like you're on the same wavelength, even if you're barely in the same radio station. FBI negotiators use this. So do toddlers, by accident. When done right, it creates trust and connection. When done wrong, it looks like an interpretive dance-off. 4. The peak end rule. Memory is weird. We don't remember the full experience. We remember the peaks and the endings. This was discovered by Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman. And unlike most Nobel Prize ideas, this one actually makes sense without a whiteboard. Let's say you go on vacation. Most of it is just okay. Then one night, you have the best dinner of your life. And on the last day, the weather is perfect. What do you remember most? The steak and the sunset. The rest is just background noise. Marketers love this. They end commercials with babies giggling or dogs catching frisbees because that's what sticks. Speakers end with a quote. And theme parks make sure the last ride you hit is the one that goes wee, not meh. 5. The illusory truth effect. Say something often enough and people start believing it. This is called the illusory truth effect. And it explains how rumors spread, how brands grow, and why your uncle still believes the moon landing was filmed in a parking lot. In a 1977 study, people were more likely to believe repeated statements even if they were complete baloney. Like, ostriches bury their heads in the sand, or carrots help you see in the dark. Spoiler, neither is true, but your grandma might still argue otherwise. This effect explains why repetition is a favorite tool of politicians, cult leaders, and infomercial hosts. 6. The Benjamin Franklin Effect. You'd think doing a favor for someone would make you like them more, but it turns out it's the other way around. When you do a favor for someone, your brain assumes you must like them. Otherwise, why would you waste your time? Ben Franklin discovered this by accident. He asked a rival legislator to lend him a rare book. Weird flex, right? But it worked. The guy warmed up to Franklin after that. Apparently, nothing builds friendship faster than temporary library theft. So next time you want someone to like you, don't bake them cookies. Ask them to help you move furniture. If they say yes, congratulations, you've hacked their brain. If they say no, well, now you know where you stand. 7. Anchoring. Anchoring is a mental trick where the first number you see influences everything that comes after. Say you're shopping for a jacket. You see one for $900, then another for $300. Suddenly, $300 feels like a bargain, even though it's still more than your electricity bill. Car dealers do this. So do restaurants. Ever notice that the first wine on the list is the expensive one? That's the anchor. It makes the next one seem reasonable, even if it's still overpriced grape juice. The trick here is simple. Set the anchor high. Make the next option look like a steal. Psychologically, it's like dating someone who's terrible, then meeting someone slightly less terrible and thinking, wow, this one's a catch. 8. Social proof. Monkey see, monkey do. That's social proof in a nutshell. If we see others doing something, we assume it must be the right thing to do. It's why restaurants say, most popular dish. It's why apps tell you, 5 million users can't be wrong. And it's why we still dance like weirdos when we see someone else start first. In the famous Ash experiments, people gave clearly wrong answers to simple questions just because everyone else in the room did. And these weren't toddlers. These were adults. The kind who pay taxes and have opinions about coffee. Social proof works because nobody wants to be the weirdo in the group photo. So we follow the crowd, even when the crowd is clearly lost. 9. The scarcity principle. If something's hard to get, we want it more. It's basic supply and demand. Limited time offers, only 2 left banners, and exclusive VIP memberships all tap into this instinct. We're not logical creatures. We're emotional bargain hunters. You didn't need that air fryer. But when the website said limited stock, suddenly it became a survival item. This works in relationships too. That flaky person who only texts once a week? Their scarcity makes them weirdly attractive. Humans are strange like that. We want what we think we might lose, even if it's just a glow-in-the-dark potato peeler. 10. The Pygmalion Effect. Last but definitely not least, the Pygmalion Effect. This one is powerful. It suggests that people live up to the expectations placed on them. Or down, depending on what those expectations are. In a famous study, teachers were told that certain students were gifted. They weren't. They were randomly chosen, but by the end of the year, those students had actually performed better. Why? Because the teachers treated them like they were special. And so, they became special. It's like if someone kept telling you you're the smartest potato in the bag. Eventually, you'd believe it. And maybe even start making French fries with purpose. The takeaway here is simple. Believe in people and they'll surprise you. Expect the worst, and they'll meet you there too. So maybe don't tell your kid they'll never make it, unless you're aiming for reverse psychology, in which case, proceed with caution. Ending. Psychology isn't mind reading, it's mind understanding. These tricks don't require magic wands or hypnosis spirals, just words, timing, and a bit of emotional judo. Used for good, they can build trust, change habits, and open doors. Used poorly, they manipulate and deceive. like giving someone cake and hiding the fact it's gluten-free. The real power lies in awareness. The next time you say yes, ask yourself why. Was it reason? Or was it a Jedi mind trick with a scientific footnote? If this made you laugh, think, or panic just a little bit, hit that like button. Subscribe for more breakdowns of the weird, wonderful forces shaping human behavior.